Hey, what's going on, Crank Cycles crew? And today I'm going to be going over Yeti's new 2023 SB120. Now, before we get started, if you could subscribe to the channel, that would be great. It helps us continue to grow and put these videos out for you. So where should we start? The bike rides great. It's a great trail bike. It's not a cross-country bike. The bike stock comes 120 in the rear millimeters of travel and 130 millimeters of travel in the front. Because this is my personal build, you can run 20 millimeters over the fork travel to 130, so you can do 130, 140, and 150 millimeters of travel in the front. I recommend 140 if you like a little bit more aggressive, more poppy of a bike. 130 is great too, but for me, I ride a little bit more aggressive. Having that travel and having the Grip 2 damper is a huge plus. So I've taken the bike out a handful of times already. I currently ride also SB160. That's their super enduro bike, and it pairs really well. This bike is super poppy. It's 65.5 degree head angle, but because I did put a 140 millimeter fork on, it is a bit slacker. I don't have those exact numbers, so I'll drop those in the description below. But it's a very poppy bike, very playful. Sometimes, like for me, I don't need the slackest bike on the trail. I like to have a little fun. So it's kind of like the 115. The 115 I felt like was very playful, very nimble. You always, whenever I would get on one, I always would want to outride the bike. So for me, I think having a little bit more travel on a bike like this helps out a ton. And to have a threaded bottom bracket in the Switch Infinity, also in the normal place, is huge. There's not as much creaking. They ditched they had Fox roller bearings in some of the older SB115 models, which caused a bit of creaking. So that's a huge plus. This is better serviceability. The bearings are actually pressed into the linkage, so it's not on the frame. So I think that helps a lot with how you can really toss and make this bike super aggressive. This bike's pretty light. Again, I don't have the lightest build. I'm not a weight weenie, so I'm kind of going for that trail weight. So this one is actually around 31 pounds. We have Maxxis DHF in the front, Maxxis DHR2 in the rear, 2.5, 2.4. We have XO1 cranks. We have absolute black oval chainring, XX1 cassette and chain, XO1 derailleur, Hope pedals, and we also have a Hope Tech 3 E4s, 180 millimeter Galfer rotors front and rear, Chris King headset, 1-up cockpit, so we have the 1-up 50 millimeter stem and a 35 millimeter 1-up bar, which is really great, and 1-up EDC tool on there, and the Ergon grips. So it's a very custom build. This is not what you get stock, but the stock builds are great too. A lot of stuff's really pricey right now, so it is great that they let you do a frame-up build, which is what I did. So who's this bike for? This bike is for everyone. It's a great bike if you like to keep it low-key. It's a great bike if you like to be a little bit more aggressive. It's a great bike to pair with your enduro bike. If you have an SB150 or the 160, the new one, this bike's gonna go well with it. Kind of like the 115 went really, really good with the 150. So if you kind of want that one bike do it all, maybe the new SB140 29er. But yeah, I think like nowadays, like it's very common for people to have anywhere from 2 to 3 bikes. So this bike pairs really well with an enduro bike. Again, it's super fun on the downhill, super poppy, J-hopping, all that stuff. It's a lot easier. Tabletops, it's like a mini dirt jumper. Tabletops, it's great. I'm not bottoming it out. I did actually bottom out the front when it was at 130, but since I switched it to a 140 fork with the Grip 2 damper, it's a lot better. You can really dial in the suspension. So I think if you're an aggressive rider, you're kind of riding this more as like trail enduro, then you probably want a 140 millimeter fork on there. And that'll do great for you. Usually the bike comes with, if you buy a complete build, aluminum wheels. I'm actually running the Industry 9 carbon wheels, the enduro ones with Industry 9 i9 hubs. Those are great. It's really great engagement. And sometimes with my enduro bikes, I like to run aluminum. So I don't usually run carbon, but on a bike like this, You know, I'm not going to push it as hard as my SB160, even though I feel like I can. Again, the bike just wants to take you. It feels like it can conquer the downhills, the technical sections, everything. You might hit its limits and outperform the bike, but again, it's meant to take a thrashing. You're not gonna have as much creaking issues. You're gonna have better serviceability. Threaded bottom bracket's a huge plus. No rattle with the cables. You have these cool new ports they have, which help rattling, and it doesn't rub on the frame. In the past, some of the cables would rub on the frame, so that was a little annoying, but it's great to see that they're fixing those issues, and to steer away from press fit in the back is great. So the bike is meant for extreme, you know, long periods of time where you don't have to worry about servicing it too much. To also have the switch infinity, you don't have to worry about the one in the back with the 115. That's a huge plus too. It kind of keeps everything mainstream, where you don't have to get different things for the different frames, you know, like different tools or ways of servicing. You can service all these the same way now, which is really key, and it's awesome. And everyone, this is the huge plus for 2023. You don't have to just drop $8,000 on this bike. If you have another bike and you're just looking for a frame option, Yeti has brought back the frame options for model year 2023. So you can get this frame, I know, it is still expensive, for around, I think it's like $4,200, $4,300, but it's better than nothing, and you can transfer your parts over. So if you have a 115, you can bring everything over and then build up a 120. And the plus is, right now, frames are really hot on the market, so you'll be able to have that resale value of your old frame. I see a lot of people do it. I've been doing it myself, so frames are selling more right now, I think, even in the used market, than new complete bikes. People just, again, it's a great way to save money and to kind of have that new bike, and what, you're gonna put the same parts on it again? For me, I don't use stock parts, so like every bike I have, I'm just gonna like keep using the same stuff. So I don't wanna buy a $10,000 model and then take off almost every single thing. The wheel sets, the bars, the stem, headset, you know, literally everything. So I really think it's a great opportunity if you are a mountain biker and you're very preferable, which I think after a certain amount of bikes that you buy, you start to really become, you know, preferable. Like you're gonna want things that work for you. You're not gonna want stock parts, because you've done that and you've upgraded things. So it's gonna be more cost efficient for you. So I do think huge plus to this bike also. You can get the frame. If you're thinking of ditching the 115 or another bike, still those are great bikes. If you're just looking for something new, you can bring all those parts over, or even a 140, any of those. The frame comes with a rear shock, so maybe you just get a fork or something. It's, you know, it is great to see that. So I think that's a huge plus for this year and for you guys. Now, this bike is gonna compare with a number of other brands, you know, bikes that are in this category, which would be Pivot Trail 429, Ibis Ripley, Transition Spur. Those are just some of the bikes, you know, that this is going to be competing with. And, you know, there are so many great bikes nowadays, everyone. Like, you can't go wrong. But it was great to see Yeti kind of market this, you know, in kind of competing with those, because the 115, it wasn't right there. It was almost like the 115 was like the beta testing bike, and this is like the final copy. Which is a huge plus, because now they've fixed a lot of things. It's refined. So you're gonna have a lot more, you know, fun on this bike. So it's good to see that they're kind of aiming it towards those other bike brands. You know, again, like the Trail 429, the Transition Spur, Ibis Ripley. It's gonna be very similar. So, you know, those are just the bikes that I would say that this is kind of going after. Okay guys, last thing to touch up on. I know I described how amazing this bike is on the downhills and technical sections, jumps. Let's go over the uphill. It's a great climber. I think it's very efficient. I don't feel like I'm leaning too far forward or too far back. I feel like I keep my center really nice. Where I need to lift, it's very easy. I rode a couple other bikes recently where it is a little bit harder to get that front wheel up sometimes when you need to. Again, I live in the Northeast in New York, so there are a lot of technical uphill sections. And it's been great climbing. I haven't had any issues. You know, it's a lot faster going up than my 160. My 160 isn't super slow, but this is a more efficient bike. So I think, like, if you do love an overall bike that is great with climbing too. This is a great bike, and especially if you love technical sections, this thing is very easy to maneuver. Because it is very poppy, you can kind of get it where it needs to go pretty fast. And I think that's a huge plus for this bike. You know, you want it to be great going up, but you also want it to be great going down. So it's great to see Yeti make an overall bike that's good with both categories, going up and going down. And that about wraps it up, everyone. Again, just want to go over some brief things with the new SB120. I know it's hard to get, there's so many different opinions out there, so you can't be hurt too much about what you hear. And again, everyone has their own preferences, everyone has their own opinions, so you know, I know you're counting on us to give you guys a super accurate review, but at the end of the day, some people will agree, some people won't, so you know, we're just trying our best to put what we think is right out there for you guys. Yeah, so this is it, the new Yeti Cycles SB120. Hope you liked the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.